What up, what up, what up? Thank you for tuning in to the Swish Masters Podcast, and thank you to our sponsor, SS96. Visit ss96.net and use the promo code Swish Masters for 15% off. Yeah, that's right, you heard me right. 15% off on all store items. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts, whatever you need, SS96 has it. Also, don't forget to go and check out that music from Straight Stoner, produced by yours truly. You know what it is, Gut Gang, mobbing, sleepwalking. We out here. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to the Swish Masters Podcast. I'm your co-host, QtheGuru.
What up? I'm Zay, the executive producer.
Man,
Welcome to the Swish Masters Podcast. What's going on, Q?
what's going on, Zay? We got the NBA opening night. The NBA season officially is here. As of yesterday, I'm sure you guys caught some of the games we on TNT. Y'all got a lot to say about NBA opening night. I don't know about you. I got some stuff to say. But without further ado, let's go on and get into it, man. Let's get into it. Overview for the podcast. We're gonna talk about news around the NBA. Then we'll get into our season preview. We're gonna continue it. We're gonna talk about the Central Division. There's so much going on within this division that's really exciting. We're gonna really break that down. And then of course you got the final swish, as always. So, Zay, you ready?
Oh, yes, sir. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely ready to get into it. So let's go ahead and start with our NBA news. Last time we were here, we talked about the Warriors and the Draymond Green punch, the punch that's heard around the world. But there were some more things that happened after that. So the Warriors ended up finding Draymond Green, and sometime after that, they extended not only Jordan Poole, but also Andrew Wiggins. Who didn't get extended, Zay? Draymond
Green.
Green, yes. Draymond Green did not get extended. We kind of predicted this anyway. We were like, they had to make a choice, and they made their choice. Draymond is just going to have to ball out if he wants that big contract. Did you see the game, Zay?
I didn't see the game in its entirety. I saw like bits and pieces and actually got the highlights. But um, yeah, man, it's
I
the
mean,
Warriors have made it known to the world, to Draymond and everyone else.
yeah, and seems like I was really trying to pay attention to the nuances. Like, you had the whole ring ceremony and playing on the court, trying to see if there's anything that could really distract them from the game. Really, I didn't really catch anything during the opening ceremony. I ain't seen any slights. I didn't catch anything. Um, uh, Twitter went on about how Draymond assisted, so it's like, oh, we're good. So I mean, if all really is well, I mean that's awesome. Uh, we don't get into like the opening night games and stuff too. Some other things going on, but yeah, what's your reaction to the Warriors signing Paul Wiggins and finding Draymond Green?
I think it's the smart thing to do in this situation. Honestly, they have to lock up that young talent in Jordan Poole. He's part of their core group. He's part of the reason why they won their fourth championship. And also the same thing with Andrew Wiggins, who's now a veteran, but very much was a big presence on this team outside of obviously Steph, Clay, even Dre. Andrew Wiggins played a huge role coming in, giving big performances on both ends of the floor. So I think it's a smart move to lock those two guys in because they're going to be part of this core group if they want to go and run it back, or down the line run it back for many years. And Draymond, as we said before, this situation with punching your teammate and not only doing it, but the video got leaked and all the media fire around it. He had to be punished. So I think I think the Warriors are just a very much world class organization. They understand their mission, their target, their goal, and they are pushing through this whole situation to not be distracted so they can get to it. And we saw that they just picked up, just like business as usual for opening night. They got their rings, they celebrated, they played well, they beat the Lakers, and I think that's just how they operate. I think it's going to be still attention, even though obviously they played great and there was nothing that was too distracting during the game. I don't think that this is the night that it happens because they just got their championship rings. It's opening night. They're the first team. They're the first one of the first games to play. To be played on opening night. And right now, emotions are in a good place. They're happy. They're celebrating, and they're playing basketball again. So obviously, it's not going to be as there's not going to be as much tension in this type of environment. But I say wait a couple of weeks, wait down the line, mid-season when you get into a stretch where you're losing games, or Steph can't get going, and somebody, Clay, Dre, anybody can't get it going, and then tempers flare, and then things happen, and this turmoil that's underneath boils up. And I'm not saying that they won't handle it, but I think we'll see more of it, more of this situation, because obviously, like we said, Draymond punched this guy in the face, like could have knocked him out, as we saw in the video. So that doesn't just translate. If to me, if it was me, it wouldn't just be like, all right, I got punched in the face. All right, I'm just go hoop with you. Even though they did, I don't think it's just gonna settle immediately. But that's my reaction to it so far.
Yeah, you brought up a good point about it's a ring ceremony. Emotions are high. You think about how you got here. It's generally good vibes going all around. You're playing against a team that you don't really have to worry about, like competition wise for the most part. It's like, everything's smooth sailing. It wasn't really challenging to them, in a sense. So good point. How would they react when they start getting these challenges? That's a very good point. What happens if Draymond accidentally steps on the back or pulls shoe? Back in the day, we could throw hands, step on the back of my shoe, or step on my new shoes or something. I'm just talking though, but like for real though,
Right.
but for real though, what can happen though? Like we'll see. But as of opening night, it was very professional. Everything was handled well. I was very impressed. Um, just shows how classy this organization is, and this is why they're one of the top organizations in the NBA. Um, so, what do you think about the prospect of just Draymond only getting a fine? Because one, we don't really know the amount, so it can kind of be seen by people as like a slap on the wrist. I mean, there was not a suspension or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he left the team on his own volition. Like he decided to do that. I mean, it was mutually agreed upon, but that's not like a consequence. This is more like just really a slap on the wrist, and it's only a fine. I mean, if it's like a really big fine or a really significant fine, that's one thing. I believe it'll be different if we do the amount. If it's like millions or whatever, okay. So
I think it's
that's something I'm wondering about.
I think this is a different case because it's organizational. It's not like Draymond punched LeBron or punched another player on an opposing team. He punched his own teammate. So the league, in this case, I don't feel like they have a lot of ground to interfere. I feel like if it was another player from another team, yeah, the league would probably suspend him and fine him. But because it's the Warriors, because it's their own organization, his own teammate, they probably are a little bit more lenient. And
True.
he is partially because they probably don't want to overdo it because they feel like it would be too distracting to be like, all right, let's take Draymond away from the team and blah blah blah. Let's do this, let's do that. I think the fine was a good point, a good way to punish him, but I think he's faced a lot of shame, and I'm not like taking up for him, but I think he's faced a lot of shame and probably guilt and just feeling kind of, for lack of better words, idiocracy in his own actions. And I think that's probably what they looked at. It was like, all right, let's just fine him. And with them just now winning their fourth championship and his ring night, they probably felt like, all right, well, Draymond, even though he did something that was stupid, we're not going to overdo the punishment because we don't want this to soil what we accomplished with him, because he was a big part of that too. And even though he didn't have the best finals performances, he made key plays in the right games, and he's part of this group. So I think they took that into mind. Let's just fine him. Let's not suspend him. And
Yeah.
that's where we are.
Yeah, you got a good point. And then maybe too, they also took into account like, hey, he was away from the team already, so maybe that's kind of part of it. He was away from the team, and it was mutually agreed upon, and he was remorseful and apologetic. I think that could also play into the role of like how you give a sanction or how you give a consequence. So. And true, this is all the Warriors too, by the way. I want to make that clear. The NBA was not involved at all. This shows how much they trust the Warriors to handle what they need to handle. So, very good point. Very good points. We'll just see if that relationship can be restored. Right now it seems like it's fine, but we'll see like what will happen once it gets like chippy, or that there may be a challenge and things of that nature. So um, we'll go from there. But at the same time, Draymond, if you think back in the past within the internal affairs, really, you
Yeah.
you did something against KD. And a lot of people think that's why he left. There's another reason why he left. You got to Steve Kerr's face. I don't think people forgot about that. It's like there are these internal things that's happening. And now it escalates to the fact, oh, you're going to punch a teammate now. I just feel like there should have been more than just a fine, though. To me, that's just my opinion on it. That's the reason why, because these are things that happen, and you have a prior history. I mean, it sucks, but it escalates to this fact that now he's punching a teammate. It'd be different just one time only, but like you got to the coach's face, you got to you call a player out their name in language you probably really shouldn't talk to anyone like that. It's just, and again, on the court things happen. Emotions are high, but you know, just have these many instances. That's all I'm saying. But you have a good point though, for sure. Let's go ahead and get to opening night though. I love the ceremony that the Warriors had. That's like, I think a lot of people say it's one of the best ones we've ever seen. Another highlight from opening night was the Celtics and their honoring Bill Russell. I thought that was really awesome. If you notice on all the courts, there's a 6 near where the players check in. That's to honor Bill Russell, and I'm glad the NBA has instituted this. It needs to stay forever because he is such a huge foundational player in the game. So just go ahead and keep that. Some people may be wondering why is LeBron still wearing number 6, but he's grandfathered in. Players that were already wearing number 6 before this took place, they're grandfathered in. That means they can keep the jersey number and go from there. So, and players are wearing 6 on their jerseys, so it's awesome. So, some other takeaways from opening night. We had some pretty good games going on. We saw some teams. We saw the Celtics and Sixers, and Lakers and Warriors. There was some play that was really exciting. There were plays that were terrible and dumb, and that makes no sense. But it's a very successful opening night, for sure. Say, out of all the teams that played last night, which team impressed you the most?
I'm impressed by the Celtics. I think the most. I like the fact that they came out strong defensively, and Tatum and Brown had it going. 35 each from those guys. They got the win. I feel like they should be very much motivated with where they finished off their season, losing to the Warriors in the finals, and all the drama, for lack of better words, during the offseason with the Celtics organization. I feel like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown should be very hungry, should be very eager to go out there and prove themselves that it wasn't a fluke that they got to the NBA Finals. I want to see them take the next step, and I'm happy to see that they came out and handled against a team that's arguably going to be one of the best in the conference, and also playing against a guy that's been MVP candidate and also a former MVP in James Harden. I like that they came out strong and were competitive, and I hope they continue to build on that. I want to see them ascend and go further, and if they can, they have a chance to repeat as Eastern Conference champions.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they really missed a beat without their head coach. So yeah, that they were definitely impressive. Good point. But I'm gonna go with the Warriors for me to go through that uh, recent drama and to still be a well-oiled machine, especially in that third quarter. It's like, oh no, here we go again. Because at first it was the shooting was really poor for most of the night. I mean, then once the third quarter hit, like same old Warriors, you know. I was impressed with Wiseman. You know, he looked pretty good out there. Uh, it looks like Kerr's being very intentional about playing his young guys so they get uh, minutes and develop and get that experience. And it's this Warriors team really has a chance to be like the deepest team like we've seen by like talent. I'm talking about even comparing back to the championship years with KD and before that with Harrison Barnes and Spates and all them. So like this could be the deepest squad right here, like solely based on talent. Like you got Poole. I mean, he was basically another Splash Brother at this point. You got if Wiseman can develop to like and continue to develop and be that player we think he can be. Because I think he's a potential starter, not coming off the bench type player. He's a potential starting center, like over Kevin Looney. Because he can bring more offensively. We haven't really seen it yet. It's just that based on his tape, he can do it. We just haven't seen it yet in the NBA. But the Warriors are very impressive with all that drama. And shout out to Steve Kerr, because that had to take a lot as a head coach to rein all that in. And shout out to the players. Shout out to Steph. Yeah, that was my team I was most impressed with. Let's transition to the most disappointing team of the night. Because I wish I had some highlights here ready to play. There was one instant when James Harden crossed the dude up so bad. It was mean, man. Dude slid across the floor. Who was that? Who was that defendant, man? I never could make that out. Was that smart? I hope that was smart.
It was a bit of a flop.
Okay. So if you said flop, that's probably smart then. So okay, then Harden shimmies, and yo, listen. The first time I saw the highlight, I was like, he made the shot, but I had to look closely. He did not make that shot. He banked it off the backboard, man. But it was like one of those clean ones. It's like if you're not really paying attention, it looks like it went in, but it did not at all. It missed the whole net. And then you got plays from the Lakers where it's like, just why? But man, out of the Sixers and the Lakers, what was most disappointing to you out of those teams?
I'm not really disappointed in the Sixers as much as the Lakers, but I also didn't expect very much from the Lakers.
Okay.
But with that being said, I'm going to choose the Lakers in this instance because organizationally, the team, how it's built, and just the inability to get it right as a team on either end of the floor is just a lot, and it's going to be a huge talking point for this entire season that they are not looking good, to say the least. And honestly, like I said, I expected them to not be good, but it's kind of disappointing when you have a team with LeBron James, who is going to be passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in total points this year. Anthony Davis, who is, when healthy, a top 5, top 10 player in the league. They look just dysfunctional. and it's not because of the players themselves. I think it's just fit and how the team is constructed. Even LeBron himself, after the game, made a comparison, and I don't quite understand it, but I think I get what he's trying to say about how you don't have a lot of shooters on the team. You don't have a lot of lasers, he said. So they're getting good looks, but they can't really make them. And honestly, it looks very clunky again, as it did past season. But the funniest thing about that to me was how NBA Twitter, basketball Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they went in on the Lakers. I scrolled through my phone on Twitter this morning, and literally the memes, like, they had Lakers eliminated from playoffs, memes ready to go. They had just so many memes just on hand. I'm like, y'all already had 17 memes lined up for the Lakers, and they lost one game. And it's like the Lakers, like, even one of the news sources was like the Lakers are 0-1. Like, I don't know, like the way I saw it and read it, or like how it was like portrayed, was like they've lost the entire season. Like, people are like already on edge or like on their case because they lost this first game. They're like treating it like they're 0-82. And I'm like, I don't expect them to be great, but dang, it's just one game. We know that they aren't good as of right now. They haven't figured it out, but it's still just one game, guys. Like, people are like the Lakers fall to 0-1. I'm like, yeah, someone has to fall on the first day. Like, it's not like they have a choice. Yeah. They were going to fall to a game. Like, I think someone's going to lose, guys. But they were like, the Lakers fall to 0-1. I'm like, they just lost the first game. It's not playoffs. It's not mid-season. It's not even like a weekend. It's not. But anyway, that's my. I'm trying to I'm trying to be gracious, because I'm like, I don't think you or I expect just a great season from the Lakers, but I'm trying to give them a little bit of slack here. Like, dang, guys, like, this is the first game. Maybe they can figure something out. But hey, Laker Nation is not having it.
I mean, part of it is because it's the Lakers.
Yeah.
Part two is because you got LeBron James. He brings a certain level of haters, and the Lakers' organization brings haters. And three, you got Russell Westbrook too, who's also very polarizing as a player. You got all that ready to go. And of course, the Twitter streets were ready to fire off. That's part of it. I normally in on podcasts and shows and stuff like that, you try to give different perspectives and stuff, but I could go on about how it's disappointing to see the offense in Philly going around James Harden more so than Joel Embiid. I could go on about that, and how about I need to see Joel Embiid in the paint more. I need to see more facilitation from Harden. It's cool that you got your shot back. We got some good highlights in, but that's not enough to beat some of these juggernauts in the East. I could go on about that, but I can't do it. These Lakers, they are just man. All right, so AD had an amazing start, man. I was very impressed with AD's start. He was all over the place on defense. One of the first plays to initiate was AD inside. I was like, yes, good. It's like they're playing 4 out, 1 in. That's great. The only issue with that is the 4 people out, they're not a threat. So it's like you try to do your best to match the scheme, but okay, 4 out, but I got Pat Bev, Russell Westbrook, Lonnie Walker. and LeBron James. The only threat really out from outside there is LeBron James. What does that make? I mean, that I don't get it. You gotta match scheme to personnel. Pat Beverly had a green light last night. Who gave him the green light? I have no clue. But he was jacking shots. I mean, at least Russell was hesitant. You know what I'm saying? But Russ had like one of the best percentages for most of the night from three. Like, yeah, he made one, but at least it's like 1 for 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had. I mean, the big three didn't really play terrible. By the way, they had good stats. Russ played a good game overall. I think a lot of people agreed. I was looking through Twitter. I was trying to see if anybody was going to hate on Russ because he did not have a bad game. I mean, yeah, the turnovers are an issue just like for all of them. Turnovers is the issue for the whole team. Like some really bad timely turnovers for everybody, including LeBron and AD. There's some bad turnovers. But overall, decent play. It's just everything else. The bench points were terrible. You're not getting contribution from anyone else. That just shows you how this roster. I'm sorry, the roster is trash. This is a trash roster. It's like, what other veteran players do you have? Like, okay, you got Patrick Beverly. Okay, that's fine to have as a veteran presence. And Toscano Anderson. I mean, and shout out to him for being a champion as well. But I just wish they had other veterans like that can at least give you potential for shooting, like Melo. I feel more confident in Melo's back on the team with Darvin Ham. And someone like not exactly Lou Will, but a Lou Will type that you know can get you buckets when you need to. Just going out to find those veteran players or people or young players you can put on the minimum. Like, I wish they kept Malik Monk, you know. I wish they kept some of these other young talent that I knew that they could at least be kind of a threat, more so than what you put on the floor. But part of it too is they're trying to transition to a more defensive-minded scheme, and I was impressed with the defense last night. I was, to a certain degree, until the third quarter, of course. But defensively, it was very impressive. I saw some signs from the Lakers like, okay, this could be looking good. But the reason I'm picking them was because I did not realize the lack of depth they really had on that team. Yeah. I mean, the other reliable person off the bench is now Austin Reeves. I mean, before you had at least Horton Tucker and Reeves, and I mean this roster is worse than last year, in my opinion. If you think about it, because it's one thing to have veteran presence because they've been there before and they know how to do it, but it's another thing you're just young talent and that are inexperienced. But I mean, to me, I can argue that this roster this year is worse. And shame on Rob Pelinka. Because it's his fault. And that's all I got to say, though. But the big three played fine. It's just crazy. But out of those two teams, I'm picking the Lakers, too. I can't.
Yeah. It's too much to ignore with the Lakers. And obviously, I think their roster is going to provide troubles for most of the season until they shake things up. I don't think we're in a point in time where LeBron can carry a team the way he did 5-6 years ago.
No, the NBA is better since then. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah,
there's a lot more parity in the league now. You can't just beat up on teams anymore.
Yeah,
like literally anyone can win because everyone's capable of shooting. Like all teams that have capable shooters for the most part. If you have shooting, you can come back from any deficit. I don't care. The Warriors taught us that. I mean, like, that's how it is. Um, but man, I'm looking. But the only way the Lakers can counter is if they just really lock in defensively and just be a defensive first team, really. But that's a big, tough ask in this NBA. You know, if this was like 80s, 90s, this probably be a favorite team to win something maybe. But like today's NBA, we can't really hand check. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they will have to be better. They'll have to make their mark on defense, just like honestly, like they did in 2020.
Yeah, but at least they had capable scorers and I don't know. I mean, like I'm just not confident in this team.
I mean,
Unless someone breaks out, maybe Scott Pippen Jr. will break out and be like that dude. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, I'm not saying that if they play defense well, they're gonna be like champions or even the playoffs. I mean, if they want to have any inkling of success, they have to do it defensively, and even then, they're not gonna be champions by any means. But the roster itself is just the issue. I'll say 70% of their problems are roster because I think somebody else said it. Like they have the same team as last year, but they just swapped around a few names, and you don't have shooters. You don't really have. I think Thomas Bryant is out because he had to have surgery.
Yeah,
So outside of AD, there's no big man that really just comes to my mind. You got some young guys and like Gabriel. I think he's a forward, but
yeah, he gives you energy, but he made some.
They would have been better off if they would have kept Dwight Howard, kept Melo, and tried to build shooters into the team.
That's all you needed.
But honestly, I'm still. This is early to say, but I'm waiting on the moment they try to blame everything on Russ again. And I think another thing, I'm gonna say this real quick before you move on. Kevin Durant said this on the War Room the other day about Russ. He's playing under a microscope in one of the most media-heavy cities, and he's also a polarizing player. He's different, right? And KD just spoke about like how regardless of if he's shooting well or he's making threes or making layups, making plays, the moment he misses a layup, that's it. He's a scapegoat. And it's like that's true because there's so much attention on him already from even with this past video with I think it was like preseason. He did his regular routine, but somebody cut the video a certain way that it looked like he was not joining the team, but he's been doing that forever. And I'm sure you know that because you've been a fan for years. So I think this is going to be an ongoing thing until like, all right, the media is going to probably push narrative, push the Lakers to make a move. And then maybe something else like but we'll see.
Yeah, there was a story that popped up today though about like sorry to interrupt, but like they said that is the Lakers are not looking to push any trades until after I think it was like Thanksgiving. That's what it said. I believe that's what it said. I'm gonna check. I'm back check to make sure. But apparently they're gonna stop looking at trades right now and wait. Yeah, the Lakers are not rushing trades yet after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So, I mean, even that's not. I don't know. I mean, NBA Twitter was really there are a lot more people standing up for Russ yesterday too, even when in the commentators like Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley, you know, So I believe the narrative can shift that just certain people in the media that are not going to let that happen though. And those media people know who they are.
I agree.
I mean, they know who they are. I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Because I can't stand watching that show sometimes when they get into that stuff. I don't even want to say their name to get a clout. Not that we have that type of clout yet, but still, I don't even want to. But man, so yeah.
That's right. We don't buy into the hype on Swish Masters. We keep it
Yeah,
factual in here.
try to be objective. And yeah, Russ had that one air ball, right? But that's coming off a play that it was already chaotic. One. But people cutting it up like it's like, oh, here. It's like, man. I mean, Russ is Russ. He takes questionable shots sometimes. That's him. But it's like he does more positives most of the time. Last season with standing, he had decent numbers. I mean, like, I don't know, man. It's like
That's what I was about to say.
he had 18, 7, 7. Like that's not bad. That's you typically for a
that's
starting
hard to do for an average NBA player.
Exactly.
Like to average 18, 7, and 7. This is he's 3 assists, 3 rebounds shy of a triple double again. So even though he had a down year, it was more so of a mentally down year for him because I'm sure he was just stressed. But still, that's highly productive. If you put that on a team that fits, or if the Lakers had a team that around him that fits, they would have been way more successful.
Right. So that's how I was just like so disappointed with the shooting. I'm like, when we see Russ, because they staggered the minutes to Russ was playing with AD and some other players. I'm like, these other players are just not knocking down shots. It's like that's what's disappointing. In the limited spacing. And
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see. But I trust in Darvin Ham so far. I did like some of the looks that he did. Like they do look better defensively already compared to last season. And I like how AD came out. Just to continue that for a full. But at the same time, players are getting conditioned. So it's like opening night games don't really mean a whole lot. Honestly, it just gives you a glimpse into what potentially could be there. So, and potentially the Lakers could be a good defensive team. Potentially AD can have an MVP caliber season, and of course LeBron is going to top that scoring record for sure. He put up 30 plus already, so still got it. Let's go ahead and transition to our continue our NBA season preview. This time we're going to focus on the Central Division. And y'all, this division is, man, I never thought I'd be actually excited about the Eastern Conference division like this, honestly. Let's go ahead and start with the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers picked up in the offseason the coveted Donovan Mitchell. The player the Knicks missed out on, which was, again, makes no sense. But let's look at the potential starting 5 here. And again, there are I don't know if they're playing tonight. Are they playing tonight?
They might be. Let me Cavs playing tonight. Yeah, they played tonight.
Okay. And they lost. That's all good. I'm looking forward to seeing those highlights and stuff. But it looks like the starting lineup was Darius Garland, had Donovan Mitchell. This is what I wanted to see though. Who was going to start that small forward spot? Because that's what I was wondering about. So apparently they put Levert.
Mm.
They put Levert in the spot and got Mobley. So okay, because they also got Isaac Okoro. So it's like,
Yeah.
who could be that small forward spot? He could have been in that spot. So yeah, that's why I was wondering what happened tonight. So that's the actual starting five right now. And I don't know if I continue, but yeah, they also have Mobley and Allen, of course. You got some key reserves. You got Kevin Love. You got Robin Lopez. You got Ricky Rubio. You got Osman. Nato played tonight. Okay. You got Raul Nato. Okay. Cool. So the biggest question is who's going to consistently play that spot? Because of course you know Garland, along with Donovan, will definitely be the starting backcourt no matter what.
Absolutely.
Mobley will always stay there for sure, and as well as Allen. So it's like who can fill that role. It's interesting. I wonder how JB Bickerstaff will, like really see how this roster will shape up. They have good veteran presence here too, along with the young squad. I think they can really make some noise this year. I really do. Last year they had 44 wins. They ranked 20th on offensive rating, and they ranked 5th in defensive rating. So clearly, I expect the Cavs to be in the playoffs for sure. Depending on matchups, I'm like they could definitely make it into the playoffs. Last year they only made it to the play-in, and that was kind of due to they didn't get past the play-in due to injuries.
Yeah.
I definitely expect them to be firmly in the playoffs as a top. Let's see. Right now, they should at least be a top 5 seed. They should, to me. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. But they're definitely going to be one of the top teams in the East. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I'm looking forward to see how they play, and if Karras convert, how will he look in this offense? Because he needs a consistent spot. He's been split up in the past couple of years. He was with Brooklyn, then he was with Indy, and now he's with the Cavs. I need him to be in a consistent system too, because I think LeVert can be that dude. Because he showed potential back in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
he can really contribute, and if he gets to going with Cleveland, that's it. I'm done. There's a lot of potential. Yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
I like the Cavs. I love the addition of Darius Garland. I mean, not Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell. With Darius Garland in the backcourt. They're, I guess, technically a smaller backcourt, but both of those dudes are tremendously athletic, very skilled players. We know what Donovan Mitchell can do. He was carrying the Jazz for pretty much his entire time there. And I think that now he's paired up with another all-star level guard, Darius Garland. It's going to be very fun to watch those two go to work. And I think Caris LeVert, like you said, is another key player for them. I think he's the right guy for the starting spot. Talent-wise, he can be their third guy after Mitchell and Garland. He can be that third guy for sure. And even with how they're built, if he were to take on like a staggered role where he's like taking, I guess, time with the second unit, that would be big because he's able to get his own shot easily. And I think that even like as they're constructed right now, as they're with that lineup, I think he can go for easy 17, 18 a game. And I think that would be huge for them if I'm thinking that they're going to play out how they do. Mobley and Jared Allen in the front court is also just phenomenal addition by Cleveland to add Jared Allen, who is just a monster on defense, and now he's developing a bit of an offensive game. Like at least you can give him the ball and he can get you a couple points, in a stretch. That's all you need. And Mobley is just super talented. I think he's
superstar on the way, potential, like for real.
He can be like an even more skilled version of Chris Bosh. You know what I mean? Like Chris Bosh.
Good comparison. That's a good comparison.
Very much underrated, even though we know how great he was and how instrumental he was to Miami and even in his Toronto days. Evan Mobley is that times 10, in my opinion, if he keeps excelling the way he is. And then they have some interesting players in the second unit with Kevin Love. Obviously, he's going to be stretching the floor with his shooting. Obviously, we know how much of a monster rebounder he is. Isaac Okoro is another guy that interests me. Very, very talented wing, athletic, and they still have other players like Dean Wade. They have Ricky Rubio, who's I think currently injured, but still another veteran presence that can help Garland, help the other guards. They have an interesting team, so I think I'm not saying they win the conference or anything like that, but I think they can be in that 4 to 6 range of the playoff teams. So that's what I think. I think they're gonna have a fun team. They're gonna be fun to watch. I'm excited about Cleveland.
Yeah, man. I know we're talking about Cleveland right now, but can you believe the Knicks and Memphis are in overtime?
I saw that.
And so New York has the ball, right? Memphis is up by 3. They go ahead to do a foul to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested to see what's going on. And the Knicks lose. Okay.
It's over?
That's it. Knicks lose. I don't know who that... Knicks lose. But probably it's overtime.
Breaking news. The Knicks lose.
Yeah.
Again.
But shout out. It was a competitive game, so that's cool. But yeah, Cavs will definitely go far. I'm excited to see what they can do.
Definitely, yeah.
I saw another team that played tonight, and I believe they won as well. The Pistons. We saw the first look at some of these top picks tonight. But let's focus on the Pistons though, because I'm still very impressed. Jalen Duren, it's looking good. Ivy, man, I'm telling y'all, this is very, very perspective. Let's go ahead and look at what they got going on. Look at their stats from last year, and we'll predict what they'll be this year. So you already got a star in Cade Cunningham, and now you're gonna pair him with Jaden Ivey, who's a scoring machine, Sadiq Bey, who he's improved his shooting, and he's improving in all ways to just really balance his game. They also have Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Stewart. He's he's an underrated player in my opinion. Like I really like what he brings to the game too. Um, Especially on defense. If he can improve his offense, hey, that's it. This team can definitely stretch the floor already based on how it's constructed. I forgot to look at some of his reserves as well. Killian Hayes, underrated defender, very good defender. I think he has potential to be a really valuable piece coming off the bench. You also have Alec Burks, who's also very experienced, and they also got Bogdanovich. I forgot they had Bogdanovich. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They got Corey Joseph. Okay. See, Rob Pelinka, this is how you put a team together, man. You got a good mix of veterans. And, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how you put a team together, man. Like, and this is the Pistons.
Yeah. The Pistons are better than the Lakers already.
I mean, at least roster. I love this roster compared to. I mean, man.
Looking at their roster compared, if we're gonna compare to the Lakers, the way they're not superstars in any right to compare to those.
I mean, no, I'm not saying no one's like AD level, but I'm just saying like I like this roster.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the
fit.
Yes, the fit of the team, the players that they have, the system is clear. It works. But compared to the Lakers, they have nothing that fits, that works, that matches up well with each other. They just kind of clunky, just kind of thrown in there. So, yeah. I too like the Pistons. I don't think they make playoffs this year. And it's just because of youth. But youth is a good thing. They'll be good down the line. Cade Cunningham had a solid first season. I think that he lived up to my expectations for his draft pick, being top draft pick. I think he'll build on that. Jaden Ivey is another guy who has gained a lot of respect around the league already. I think he's gonna develop his game more and be a monster. Sadiq Bey is someone I think is kind of underrated. He had a huge game last year, but
I remember. You're right.
He had a 50 ball, and I was like, okay. He was hitting turnaround jumpers. Like his all around game is pretty nice. I think he's really gonna be a talented player in the league, a talented scorer who can do a little bit of everything. Jalen Duren, obviously, monster at Memphis. Translated that into the league. He's going to be a tenacious big man. Isaiah Stewart, also bringing that toughness, that Detroit mentality. Mm-hmm. So I like the Pistons, honestly. I just don't think they'll be, they won't be competitive just yet. But they're going to be a team that I think is down the line. If they keep this kind of balance, this kind of like core group of young players together, they could develop into something. I feel like maybe this is out of pocket, but they remind me of how like those old school Pistons with like Chauncey and Rasheed, Ben Wallace, like Tayshaun, they remind me of that in some way, like a little bit. Like they all are talented in their own right, have their own ways of how they can score the ball and kind of toughness to them. It's Detroit. I like it. So,
oh yeah,
I'm messing with them.
Definitely. I'm very excited for the prospect of this team. Like just because you're rebuilding doesn't mean your team can't be exciting to watch still.
Oh yeah.
And this team definitely.
That's Charlotte to me.
Yeah. But again, we both agree that they're going to be down. I mean, another lottery pick. potentially for next year. But hey, that's a good time on the way. I honestly believe everyone's going to tank for Wembanyama. Like, this is another one of those teams that's going to try, especially when you have draft picks. So go ahead and try. Let's go ahead and continue. Let's talk about the Pacers. Tyrese, obviously he's already posting highlights already on NBA opening night. He's looking good. I still don't know how the Kings let him go, but that's another discussion for another day. So I guess the main question is this: are they? Because it's mostly Indy and Lakers in these trade talks, right? It's mostly Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. So it's like, what's the goal here if you're Indy? Because you know you're not good enough to really compete, but you do have players that can definitely help other teams. So do you want to go further into the rebuild and trade these players? Or do you want to actually try to compete and try to get into like maybe the play-in? I mean, they got Tyrese Halliburton. He'll stay no matter what. I think he's going to be their franchise player. Because their moves are just confusing. You trade away Sabonis, who's like that other key player. So it's like, I'm assuming you're rebuilding if you're the Pacers. Buddy Hield. I know a lot of people are marketing him, but can he stay efficient? Can he play efficiently? That's my main question. Because even if he does get traded to the Lakers, I still don't see that being like a automatic fix. Because he's not as efficient a shooter. I mean, this is what it is. Then you got some young players as well. I would definitely keep Jalen Smith. Maybe trade away Miles Turner. That's about it. Trade away TJ McConnell.
I forgot about McConnell. Did he play tonight?
I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Did they win tonight?
No.
How you lose to? Well, because you're trying to tank the right. Miami. So lose to. I was like, how you lose to Washington? But like, yeah.
I mean,
and Washington is like, don't get me wrong. You got Bradley Beal and Porzingis. I forgot they got Porzingis now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll talk about their prospects when we get to them too. But all right, sticking to the Indy, they're definitely a lottery team. If you're an Indiana fan, I'm not sure what you want to expect. Like, you got a great coach in Rick Carlisle. Is he really going to stick through a rebuild like this? I don't know. That's why I'm really questioning. What are you going to do here? I'm really questioning it. I have no clue. So there's no way this team can compete. You're low in shooting. You're low in scoring. Turnovers. All these things. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Indy, man?
The Pacers don't really stand out to me as far as teams in the league right now. I think they're kind of on the back burner. And honestly, I think it's two directions they could go in. A, they make some trades because they have young talent pieces, draft picks, whatever. They ship players out, bring some players in. They get to a point where they're good enough to make the playoffs if they do that, but that's about it. Maybe like 7, 8 seed, so play-in potentially. Or they do your team strategy and tank, and they rebuild through the draft. Or, so hang on, let me correct myself because I just recently learned that from my childhood idol D Wade, that teams don't use rebuild as a term. It's more of restructure. So they're restructuring to potentially build a new team through the draft. restructure through the draft. That's what I'm trying to say. But other than that, yeah, they have Buddy Hield, they have Miles Turner, Halliburton, and Duarte, who made some like strides last year, who's an interesting guard.
Good point.
But other than that, they don't have much to work with, in my opinion. So I think either they'll make some moves to be competitive, like in maybe into next season, or they're just gonna go for draft picks and build through there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that's it. I mean, this clearly is the team that's selling right now. I believe. So you want to sell these players for these draft picks. Because if you think about it, all their moves on the offseason prove that. I mean, you trade away some key pieces. Malcolm Brogdon, you trade him. You don't re-sign key free agents. You know,
They almost had DeAndre Ayton.
they almost did. But at the same time, if you get him, I don't know.
Do
Man.
you
That's
build
that's-
around him, or
Right.
do you make more moves?
That's what I'm saying. So like they're really in the middle for me right now. They can really go out of direction. And they have
Either way, I
assets.
don't see him being a big threat to anyone in the
No.
East.
That's true. So if I'm the front office, I'll be like, just go ahead and tank. I mean, like,
I'm sure you would say that,
sweepstakes. I mean, like, if you're not gonna be good enough to like really make a mark in the playoffs, go ahead and rebuild. I mean, clearly, it's probably that route. They're probably taking that route. But yeah, that's where they are. I just wonder if Carlisle would actually sit through it like that. I mean, to be honest, he did sit through the Mavs rebuild. I mean, he did do that. So, I mean, and I trust him as a coach to oversee a rebuild. So, yeah, it's not the worst position to be in if you're an indie fan. You just probably want clarity on what this team is doing.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
know that's what I want. But I'm an OKC fan. I know what we doing. We good. I almost wrap it up. Let's talk about a team that really should go far, I believe, in both of our minds. The Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
So, of course, Milwaukee had, I want to say, a disappointing end because of injury. But, like, I don't know. I don't want to say they had a disappointing season last year. What about you? Was it disappointing? Because, I mean, they had injuries. So, that's an excuse.
I wouldn't say disappointing necessarily. I would more so say we were left wanting a bit more from them, or we expected them to be going further. It just was
Just issues with injury.
just injury issues, I think. But hopefully Middleton's back healthy, and like you said, this is a team we expect to be competing for a championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo. That alone is telling you, all right, this team is going to push to get a championship because they have Giannis, right? But obviously still have a great roster with Giannis, obviously. You got Brook Lopez. You got Grayson Allen. What am I trying to say? The rookie that got Beaucamp. I think he's going to be interesting. Drew Holiday, Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton. They're geared to run it back. I think they have a talented roster. Looking at some other players, Bobby Portis. They added Joe Ingles, who I think is probably not going to be playing anytime soon due to injury, but another veteran forward who's smart, I think will make them all help their younger guys and even Giannis.
Yeah.
They have a good group, I think, and they'll they'll be one of the top teams in the East, like easily. They're a top 4 team easily to me. So I expect them to make a run in the playoffs. I won't say they're going to win the championship, but I expect them to make a run. I expect Giannis to come out being a monster. And hopefully the rest of the team is, geared up to go. So Bucks are up there.
Yeah, they are. Also, keep in mind this team is getting older. Middleton's 31. Drew Holiday's 32. Other players on team are from 33 to 36. This is an older team with high mileage, and health is a major factor here. So that's key. If I'm Milwaukee, I would love for them to try to invest in a younger player somehow to start, getting him involved and just start that process of finding that talent that you can get. They're not going to have a low draft pick, so that's not going to be through the draft somehow. You have to be kind of smart with it. Or you could find a diamond in the rough with your draft pick. As long as you hit on your draft picks every year, you're capable of having an ongoing franchise. But that being said, I fully expect them in the playoffs. Health is a factor for me. I trust Giannis. I trust their organization they have there. You said top 4. I say top 3 for sure. If not, top 2. This team is. I have faith in the Bucks, man. I do. I can't wait till we do our predictions though. I really want to see who you predict to win this championship this year, and see who you predict to win MVP and all that. But we'll get to that at some point.
For sure.
But yeah, I agree. I agree with you though. They'll definitely make the playoffs though, for sure. None else to really be said. Let's go ahead and talk about this final team though. The Bulls. I mean, this team was definitely disappointing to me last year. I mean, yeah, they had injuries, but still, I expected them to at least go further. I mean,
well,
they got. I mean, you tell me what players they got, man.
Kobe White.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball, who's out with injury still.
That sucks.
They picked up Andre Drummond. Derrick Jones Jr., Goran Dragic, Alex Caruso, the young kid that stepped up last year, Ayo. He's pretty good. I like him.
Yeah.
They have Kostas Antetokounmpo, Patrick Williams, another young forward that I think would be good.
True.
Javonte Green, who's also pretty good, and obviously, their big 3, in my opinion, was Zach LaVine, who got his big contract, Nikola Vucevic, and DeMar DeRozan, Debo, who was for a good point of the season my MVP candidate.
He was.
I think they're still gonna be a playoff team, probably like that 5 or 6 spot. They're gonna be exciting. It's gonna be a little bit tough with Lonzo still, but I like that addition of Drummond. I think he's top tier big man in the league still. My only thing with them is that I don't know if health was a concern last year. Zach LaVine was not fully healthy, so he wasn't as impactful against. Obviously, they're going against the Bucks, who we know if you have Giannis, you have a chance because he was just going in on them. But I think injury is health is gonna be a big factor for them. I think they can be competitive, but they just need to be healthy and play together. I feel like they leaned a lot on DeMar and he played decently in the playoffs. He played great throughout the season, but it wasn't enough when you don't have any substantial help when Levine is not really healthy. Lonzo was out, so I'm not expecting much from them. I think they'll be they're playoff bound team, but not really looking for them to make noise like that into the playoffs or get past the second round if they get out of the first. It's not because I'm not hating on them or anything, but I like them a lot. It's just they don't have a group that I can see doing that or going very far. But they'll be good. I think they'll be a great team.
Yeah. One question was like, for me, will DeMar DeRozan continue his season from last year? And he already started off in a good way against your Heat, unfortunately, man. He balled out. 37, so it was like he's still continuing. Um, so that was one of my major questions. So it seems like he'll be fine. The other question really is just health. I would feel more confident in the team if Lonzo was healthy. I would
Yeah.
definitely feel more confident. But since he isn't, it's already a question mark on your season. So they should definitely at least make the play in. So I want you to clarify. So do you think they're a solid playoff team or play in? Like, where are they for you?
Hmm.
So are you saying top 10 or top 7? Because that's the difference.
Okay. Man, if I'm thinking of how, I'm trying to think, and I'm leaving it, I don't want to leave anyone out, but as I'm thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a top 7 team still.
So like firmly in the playoffs.
I think they're firmly in the playoffs.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who would I in that range. I think that they are 5 or 6. That's my spot for them for sure. Like I think they can be 5 or 6.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'll stick with that.
Okay. Okay. Um. It's just on health. Like health, if they're healthy, I'll say they can definitely make the playoffs. Like firmly. If not, if the injuries continue to be an issue, it'll be playing at the best. If not, out the playoffs completely. So that's my answer. And I'm stick to that. But hopefully they stay healthy. Hopefully they do. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with the final swish. One of my favorite topics here, man. I love the final swish.
Absolutely.
Let's just see what you got to say, man. So,
All right.
go ahead.
My final swish for the day. I want to shout out to Steph Curry. Part of his opening speech, he talked about how, I mean, not his opening speech, but he's addressed the crowd during the championship ceremony, opening night. Shout out to him for mentioning how big of a platform he has and using it to advocate still for Brittany Griner, who is still wrongly birthday just passed. She turned 32 and is having to endure, has had to endure months of wrongful detention in Russia, and she's still not home, and it bothers me. It bothers a lot of people, and we still we're out here. Free BG, we miss you. She means a lot to the basketball community, and we can't wait to see her come back home. So shout out to Steph for using that moment, even in your fourth championship. You thought to advocate for a cause for another human being. That's big, and I appreciate that, and I hope that I'm praying that BG is home soon because I can only imagine, you know what I mean, to be wrongfully detained for the better part of this entire year, being away from family. It has to be tough. It has to be immensely tough. So free BG, man. That's my final swish.
Nice. All right. So for my final swish, it's not gonna really take long at all, but I guess it's more so like a shout out really to a team that is really doing what it has to do to be successful. You know, the team that's going all out and competing, but at the same time doing what it needs to do. And that team, of course, is my OKC Thunder. We're competing and developing this young talent, but at the same time, we're not losing the mission. Now, we're keeping track of the mission. And the mission is to lose, man. That type of game is what I'm talking about. Being competitive, play against the T-Wolves, the scrappiness of the team, and the effort is what allowed them to come back. And but just have enough effort, but to make sure you lose though. That's my main thing. So developing and treading lightly while losing. I just need them to keep the same effort up against teams that are really trying to lose. So Spurs, we watching, we coming for you. We gonna lose. Pistons, we see you out there. We're gonna lose to you too. Basically, all these lottery teams that's trying to go for Victor Wembanyama. But we see y'all and we play against y'all, we're gonna lose against y'all. That's all I'm gonna say while we develop. So shout out to OKC. Love the squad. Keep it going. Develop this young talent. And keep the main thing. Get Victor Wembanyama, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Why? Why did I know you were gonna go for that?
I mean,
why?
We had the first game. For real. Shea dropped 32, man. Without training camp or preseason, he's still looking good. You know, Giddy's looking good. I mean, this team looks good, man. I just wish Chet was playing to develop some, but it's all good. It just furthers the cause a little bit. That's like one pro out of the bad situation. So it's all good. Just further reason to just go ahead and lose. That's all I gotta say. Thank y'all for checking out the Swish Masters Podcast, man. We'll be back at it next week. We're gonna go back to the West as for our preview. Let's see what division we can probably get into. We talked about we did Pacific. Let's see. I don't know. Which one you want to hit next?
How about Southwest?
Southwest. I'm with it. Sounds good. All right, y'all check that out. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. I'm QtheGuru. I'm signing off.
I'm Zay, the executive producer, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.